on, Mr. Maps?
Yo, what it is?
What it is, big man? Are you alive and kicking?
We've got threads on Twitter already. Uh, good tens, good tens, good tens. Yeah.
It's a difficult, but no, people must bear with us. This has been the longest short week ever, in my opinion. And last week was Easter, obviously. So that was also a short week where work is trying to, like when everyone knows that we
Yeah.
only have 4 days to work with.
And they want to pile everything in.
Exactly. By the time you get to Thursday, you have no
Yeah.
time to do anything else. I think that's what happened last week, January. But
Yeah, no, the people are saying Guti, we must not tell them to concentrate on Jesus. What you know, so pity. Easter's over, niggas.
hey, bantu sebabanjani emhlabeni?
Good tens, mdala, good tens. But yeah, no, we're doing it for the people, them short and sweet, and then we out of here, man.
Yeah, in any event, I've got load shedding in a little bit, so ha ha ha.
Yeah, no. Good trends, good tens, good tricky. Wow. I think that should be that should be the theme for today.
Yeah. But anyways, it is what it is.
Yeah.
We move.
Yeah. Welcome back, guys. It is another episode of 6 Foot Weights, your favorite hour with your favorite cheese boys. My name is Thabo.
My name is Senna.
And yeah, we are for a good time, not a long time. Mr. Moy, a lot has happened over the past 2 weeks. I'm just trying to, compile. It was such a busy week. I wasn't even able to write down a lot of this shit. But from what I can see here, let's start with let's start with a quick shout out, bro. This is a bit of a week late, but shout out to the youth. Shout out to Mpho, graduated. I believe it's an LLB from the University of CPT, and I just wanted to congratulate him. Obviously, it's not a small achievement, this one. So here's to bigger, better things, and well done on this huge milestone.
Yeah, bro. Big ups to him. Hard work pays. So
does it though?
Hey, but I mean, if this is what you're working towards, I mean, he worked hard, studied hard, passed his exams.
Yeah.
He's got the ting, LLB in the bag.
Yeah.
We move.
Yeah. Although what was funny, I was laughing about it with you. It was like, so obviously his brother, Junior, showed up to the graduation, suited and booted more than the graduate himself. So like when I saw the pictures, I'm like, how is what's going on with Junior? Like, you know what I mean? Because I didn't know it was graduation day. And then he's there with his suit, shoes, everything. It was A1. No. Junior looked good, like proper. Said that you looked like, I could tell you're a guest. You look like an uncle, like you were proper dressed. I was like, okay, cool. It's not Senna's day. And then Paul was dressed like how Paul would dress to a formal event. And I was just kind of like, so wait, who's being celebrated? Only until later when I saw the locals in gown, I was like, aha, okay. It's Paul's day.
I was dressed like an uncle. But to be honest, you must embrace this role because this is the stage of life that we're in now.
Yeah, that is true.
Because we got to the graduation and I remember thinking, yo, dude, I graduated, how many years ago is it now? 6 years ago. It was 6 years ago last month.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, time flies. Do you know how big a 6-year-old child is now? Like they start in grade 1 in Zim.
Bruh. It's been a minute, bro.
That's
cookie, bro.
Like, yeah, no. But talking to Mpho, and it's fascinating. I don't know what people think about this, but apparently the graduation day is not about the actual graduate. It's about everyone else except the graduate. Like everyone else will help the person get there. So they're the ones.
I don't subscribe to that.
I think so, because I think, and I agreed with him because I think his celebration came when he got his results. Same with me, right? I think I was happier when my results came in and I passed and I knew that it's done. But the actual day, the actual celebration, I think it almost feels like parents especially, it's like their moment to come celebrate what they've been funding.
I think
all these years?
I felt like that to an extent about my wedding. I felt more like that, which it was less about
Really?
us and more about everybody else, especially the rents. But I would say for graduation, maybe it's because like the way the American education system is, right? You're not really like having like final exams. It's rather obvious if you're gonna graduate or not from like a few
Mm,
months before, right?
okay.
So it's kind of just it's repetition. So you're taking your same set of classes that you've been taking since the first semester of freshman year, right? It's just different classes that you're taking.
Yeah.
So if you've been passing since freshman year, let's say you've got a 3.5, 6, 7, 8 GPA, like what's the likelihood that this semester you're gonna fail everything, right? It's a very low
Mm-hmm.
likelihood, right? So you might not get
Yeah.
A's, but you're definitely going to pass the courses, right? So for
Okay.
us, it's just kind of like it's like a marathon type of thing where it's like, okay, it's finally the end.
Mm,
So like on your last day of class, for whatever course that you're doing, that's the day where you're like, it's done, it's over. No more courses,
mm,
that type of thing. And then graduation day is the hype day where it's like, yo, you're seeing your boys, the girls, like everybody's like, we're coming together and it's like we're in the so we were in the gym before going into like the auditorium or whatever, and everyone has
yeah.
just got their caps and it's like that's the moment where it's like, oh my god, guys, it's happening. Right. So it really felt
Mm-hmm.
like it was about us in that whole day really felt like it was about us, and it was a proud moment, right? So that I think maybe
Mm,
the difference from the academic side of things. Again, guys, add us and let us
yeah.
know. But I really felt like no, that was a day for me to celebrate. Like, nah, I'm done, bitches. And then
Really?
yeah, of course the Rents were proud. They were there taking millions and millions of pictures. So for it,
Mm,
it was a lot. I know my parents, they were super happy. I was kind of
mm,
chuffed because my graduation came first before my brother's graduation. My brother's graduation, I think, was like 2 weeks later after mine.
mm.
So I got to see that first reaction of my parents going, "Oh my God, graduation, America!" So I enjoyed that moment because I did see that when
Yeah.
when what's this thing called, when we went to my brother's graduation 2 weeks later, they were a lot
Yeah.
more not chill. Children, they were still excited, right? So it's not like they were less excited, but it was the that like the first time like a child in a candy store type of moment that had gone away,
Yes.
right? But then it
Okay.
was much
Okay.
more. I think they I think it was a more of a celebration of my brother, I would say, for his graduation, whereas mine, it was like my parents sort of beating their own chests.
Seventy.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I mean. It was more of them with yeah, not yeah, auntie one. I seven zile sibili. Mntwana sepasile. It was one of them. That was the energy. Whereas for my
So wait,
brother,
side
it
note.
was it was more about him. Well done, yeah, this and that, hugs and kisses. You know what I mean? That was it felt more of that.
Then why did you feel on your wedding like that was more for your parents than the graduation? Because I think that wedding is like you and your person, like yay. Not I don't think it's your parents being
I
for
think,
them like super proud because it's not like they put effort into you guys' relationship, right? It's
yeah,
not like they're the
yeah,
ones. Whereas with graduation, it's them putting money, resources, everything at you to make sure for I know my degree was 4 years
yeah,
to make sure that for 4 years your accommodation is paid, your whatever is paid.
yeah.
But with marriage, it's not like they're the ones funding all the dates and all the memories that the both of you create to get to that stage, right? So why would it be that the wedding is their celebration more than graduation?
I think so with the wedding. It's more for both sets of parents. It's I think especially with African wedding, it's like look at our kids. You know what I mean? Like we at least let me not speak for my wife. I felt more like a prop during the wedding. I felt like yes, everybody's there to see me and my wife and all of that, but like at the end of the day, it's like it feels like singama Brahman, and it's a trade fair type of thing, That's kind of the feeling that we had, and like it was my rents who were able. They were not the guests of honor, but obviously everybody recognizes the parents as well. But so they got to shine and enjoy it in like not everybody's looking at you all the time, 100% of the time. It was more of you can't really, not everybody can go to the bride and groom and congratulate them, but guess what? We can go to the parents and congratulate the parents. You know what I mean? So it was a lot more of those type of interactions. So that's why I felt like it was more. And again, I was happy with that. I was cool with that, because they did invest in terms of the wedding as well. They contributed quite a bit. So and it really is, what it is. Like these African weddings, it's about the rents. Let them flex, and it's like, okay, cool. Have your moment to flex. It's all good. I'm happy. I didn't feel like they were taken away from us. But again, I just think it's a scam. If you think your wedding is about you, you haven't had a wedding yet. that's all I can say. It's not about the bride and groom. It's just you guys are the show. You know what I mean? But like it's almost like this is more about the producers of the show than the show itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I see. Because I know in South African graduations, they have a moment at the end where they say, take a moment to wave at the people who made this all possible.
Yeah.
So then you find wherever your parents are seated, and then you just wave at them. I guess it's just meant to be like that kind of, ode to the people who made it happen. Because there's just that acknowledgement that a degree is that. But it's interesting to hear your point of view on that.
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, guys, let us know if you've been married, if you've had a graduation, if you've had neither. Just sit down and keep quiet, and let other people discuss.
Yeah, rude.
But yeah, no, I think I don't even know. Oh yes, so yeah, congratulations, Paul. I was like, how did we even get to this point? Let me see what else is here. Yeah. So speaking of universities, right? It was I can't remember what show I was watching. I think my wife and I were watching ballet, and we're looking at the campus and how like there's really no security on campus. And I thought about it because she made a comment about Brad, there's no security here, and I thought about it, I was like, oh yeah, but when we were in uni, there really was. Like I remember my first day on campus, I was so shocked, right? Because there's no I'm coming from Mies and seeing other schools in Africa. There was no huge wall. There was no barbed wire. It was literally no broken glass on the top of the Jura wall. It was an open campus. Nomtuli.
Yeah, you walk in and out.
Nomtuli. So at the end of the day, I was like, what the like. So anyone can just go onto campus, you know what I mean? And there's like crackheads across the street and shit. And I was like, what the like? I was so shocked. I remember looking at my mom like, bruh, is this safe? I was shocked. And then obviously over the years, I did go and visit other schools and see other campuses, and it was pretty much the same thing in the States, where it's just a plot of land essentially. And then the only place there's security is the actual building. So like your dorm building, you need a card. And obviously there's cameras at the door, but yeah, you need your access card, and then you can jump in that way. But even with that, if you got somebody else's card, you could just jump in, right? So
yeah,
I looked at that, and then I thought about when I was in SA, right? During our uni years, I'd always come to visit you and Gugu at Wits, and like it was a whole mission to get into Wits, bruh. Like you get to the front day, and then they check your card, they fully putty and I'm like, whoa. It was just a lot. So I was just thinking about that juxtaposition of like, what are schools meant to be? Is it meant to be that American model, Uti Justin J, get your plot of land and there's your school? Or more of, it kind of felt like Wits was a prison. One way in, one way out.
Yeah. So I think that model, the American model, is probably the popular model worldwide, or for most universities that I know, or most of the old school universities. UCT doesn't have a wall or a fence or anything.
Oh, really?
We are Pumungene. Yeah.
Oh.
UCT, Stellenbosch, Rhodes. Rhodes is also the same. Like you're driving, next thing you're on campus. You know what I mean? you don't even the Agula Geti, you didn't go through any access control, but obviously there is security on campus, but it's not walled. And I guess the idea was Uguti, these places were built, and I guess they were built with the idea of Uguti, you can walk freely, and the community kind of grows from with the university itself, if that makes sense. So it's like everyone who lives within is probably university affiliated, anyways, who's within proximity. Wits is different because of its location. I cannot imagine what it would be like if they didn't have all that access control there in Joburg. So Braamfontein isn't Joburg CBD. So Braamfontein is where Wits University is located. Braamfontein isn't Joburg CBD, but it is literally a bridge away. So once you cross Mandela Bridge,
Yeah.
you're into Joburg CBD, which is, for all who know, Joburg CBD is not
It's not the place to be.
not the best. It's not the place to be, right? It is, you come across all kinds of characters, personalities. It's also not safe generally. So I understand why Wits, even UJ, I think UJ is also walled. I understand why those institutions have like walled campuses. If you didn't have it, Amapara would be walking in and out, harassing people at school. And that's something that I am 100% sure of. But probably, I don't know, when you think of Zim, every Zim school is fenced. Like it's fenced. There's a fence that goes right around CBC. There was a fence that went right around Whitestone. It's access control. I have no idea why some places are like that, and then you have places like Rhodes, and UCT and Stellenbosch who are more lax when it comes to that kind of thing, that security.
Yeah, no, I think. So do you remember that time when I was there? You guys have that other entrance for pedestrians, where it's literally, you know how like when you're entering, I don't even know those. What do you call those locutions? That metal, you know that what I'm talking about, right? Where you get and it goes around in a circle type of thing, where like only one
Oh, the
person.
turnstile.
Yeah, there we go, turnstile. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. So like,
English.
obviously me, I didn't have an access card at the time, and then y'all were trying to get me through the turnstile, and I think it was like if you swipe in, it only you have to wait like 5 minutes until you can swipe in again or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm confusing it with something else, but like it was all types of mathematics. It's like we can't fit Simu two. It was a whole lot of kanigaring going on. I was like, ha, bro. And I remember thinking to myself, this is so much admin to just see the homies. It's like, yeah, next time let's just meet somewhere in town, guys, because we can't be doing all of this.
Unfold.
I'm funny, bro. Like we ain't ngaling I'm funny. You can live it see you seeing there.
But it's literally the idea is like Tabanga Tabo. You've been to this, right? And you've seen where we are.
Yeah, no. It's paid for yours.
Bree taxi rank is what 400 meters, 800 meters away. You literally cross Mandela Bridge to Fiki.
Yeah.
So it's that whole thing, Eoguti. If we don't have so much access control, eh,
Yeah, no. I understand.
I saw it
completely.
during
I do understand.
the protests. How important it is that this university is fenced and gated. Because we had, obviously, I went to this during the time of Fees Must Fall. If you don't know what Fees Must Fall is, Google it, go on YouTube.
Yeah.
It is arguably the biggest fee protest there's ever been in this country. What would happen is it would spill over into the streets. And then people would burn buses, they'd burn buildings, they'd throw rubbish onto the road, all of that, like hooligan behavior. What then would happen is the campus would be somewhat protected from the mess that was going on outside. Sometimes, right? Sometimes it would start on campus as a peaceful protest, and then once Amapara join in, when it's outside, that's when you see buses being burned, stores being looted, all of that nonsense that would happen in the street at least was kept away from campus.
Yeah.
Imagine a protest starts like that, and then you don't have anything keeping
it's late.
the randoms out. It's late. People will burn down the school.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. I see what you mean. I see what you mean. But
Yeah, but I do get it. The getting into Wits was always a stress.
bruh.
You had to go through that build. There's a visitors entrance specific for visitors. You have to say who you're going to see, what you're going to do,
Yeah, and it's
explain.
like
UCT
this is
is
why you
chill.
guys are just making noise about your VITS decrees. It's not because of the prestige, it's about the security. So it makes sense these days. So now I've put two and two together, guys. So let them brag on the internet. Anyway, right, Mr. Moy, I have a quick question for you. So there's a story
Yeah.
that's been trending a lot. It's been trending for the past, I'd say, 2.5 weeks, and
Mm-hmm.
it's about my namesake. My namesake's been out here wilding, fam. But like, to be honest, I don't know the full story. I just saw
Yeah.
people. I went on Twitter and people on Twitter, hey, has this Thabo, oh, da 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 da, and I'm like, wait, hold on. And
Yeah.
then I see it's like, okay, Thabo Bester. Like, okay, Thabo Bester. And then I'm seeing Nandipa. I'm just like, okay, so what's going on? So the basic thing I understand is that he broke out of prison. He was in jail for some crimes. I
Yeah.
think like I don't know, rape and murder or something like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's been in jail. People thought he was dead, I think. And then this Nandi person helped cover up his death, but Tologuti, he's alive and well. He's alive and kicking, as I would say. But yeah, could you add some color to that so that me and Mr. Gamu here can understand?
Um. Okay. So the crux of the matter is, and this is very important, everyone listening, and it's very important that you guys get this right. Don't trust anyone with the name Tab. Um. Okay, so Thabo Bester is popularly known as the Facebook rapist and murderer. The reason for that is because he was arrested, I think, around 2012, 2011, thereabout, a long time ago, for committing a whole lot of crimes, right? So what he would do is he'd lure young women via Facebook DMs with promises of getting them jobs, modeling gigs, acting gigs, all of that stuff. Like he'd DM you and say, "Come through, come to a hotel," and then he would unfortunately and tragically rape and murder some of these people. He was arrested a couple of years ago, and sentenced to, I don't know, life in prison or whatever it is. What He was in Mangaung Correctional Center in South Africa, right? So he's been in prison all this time. So what then happened is in 2022, from prison, it was reported that he had died. He had died in a fire in his cell, right? So they found a charred body in his cell, and then he was presumed dead.
Yeah.
His girlfriend or partner, Dr. Nandipa Magudumana, she's a doctor by profession. I think she's an aesthetic doctor, skin doctor based in Santon. She then came to claim the body, right? So she came and said, actually, this is my person, it's my partner. I want to collect his remains, because they cremate you, right? I think when you're
Yeah.
in a public thing and you don't have a funeral, they cremate you, and it's like, no, I'd like to collect his remains, the remains of the deceased. So she did that, and that was it. Story was considered dead.
Yeah.
Well, we all thought he was dead. And then a few weeks ago, probably like a month or so ago, someone posted a picture of Dr. Nandipa in Santon with a man who looked like Thabo Bester. So obviously, this guy was in the news a couple of years ago, right? He was in the news for, obviously, when you're a rapist, murdering person, your story, it becomes big.
Yeah.
He was in the news, and then an innocent bystander takes a picture of Dr. Nandipa. Apparently, the reason for taking the picture was, no, I was just admiring the doctor's skin. But in the background, you see Thabo Bester in Woolies. So obviously, once it gets to Twitter, our Twitter detectives are quick. They're like, "That's Thabo Bester. We think that's him." don't know what abantu befana, but were convinced it's
Yeah.
him. And then it then came out ukuthi actually he might not have died in the fire. And the story unravels to a point where what becomes clear is Dr. Nandipa has been helping him, or they've been in a relationship. She helped him escape. She helped him source a body from a mortuary, take a body, put it in the cell, burn the cell, and then help him escape from prison. And then she's been living with him, I think, in Hyde Park in Joburg
Yeah.
for the last year. So the trip to Woolies turned out to be fatal. So what happens is the police then say, look, we will investigate. The prison officials, so the prison is privately run by a company known as G4S. G4S is a security company. They do money
Oh
transfers,
yes,
cash in
I've
transit,
seen.
all those things.
Yes, yes. They're the ones
Yeah,
with the armored trucks, right? Same company. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Same company. So G4S also manages prisons on behalf of the state.
Okay. All prisons.
Not all prisons, just some prisons.
Okay.
So obviously the state can't manage all of
Yeah.
them by themselves. Like the resources that they have
Yeah.
probably don't allow. So what they'll do is they'll tender certain services to third parties and say, look, do you want to manage this prison for us? We'll pay you this much amount of money, and then that's it, right? So it's a whole system that works with transport. It works with any services that the state provides. They might outsource. So G4S arrogantly comes out and says, no, we believe that Thabo Bester died in a cell. But it's becoming clearer and clearer with every day.
But yeah, there's no story yet.
There's no story here because now people are pulling up articles from a year ago when these guys called Ground Up wrote a whole theory saying we think this guy's alive, but no one's doing anything about it. The ministers are also on some, no, we didn't know, we're investigating. Until this past weekend, Mr. Maps, Dr. Nandipa and Thabo Bester apparently fled the country through Zim, through Kenya, and they were arrested in
Tanzania.
Tanzania as illegal immigrants. And they
Oh
were then
wow.
deported back to South Africa. So the pictures you'll see online now
Yeah.
are them in custody. Dr. Nandipa I think she's been charged with aiding and abetting on top of conspiring to commit murder or actually committing murder. I don't know who
Yes,
they
there was
murdered,
something I
but we
saw
see
about
that
a maid that has been murdered in their house or something.
in their house.
Yeah.
Yeah, so apparently they may have had like a domestic worker
Yeah.
who probably knew too much. So when they were running away, they decided to offer.
Damn.
Because obviously,
Netflix
I mean, these
series.
people are cold, dog. This is a Netflix thing. So obviously he's back in prison. He's at Khosi Mampuru prison, which is I think is a maximum security prison under heavy surveillance. She is due to appear in court next week. Obviously on charges of those charges I mentioned: conspiracy to commit murder,
But then
all
with
these things.
this Thabo Bester dude, is there going to be an investigation of how, if people are saying he was murdered or rather he died in a fire or whatever, and it's a
Yeah.
cover up? Clearly, he didn't do this by himself.
Yes. So there is a long chain of corruption here, right?
Yeah.
So there have been guys at G4S who've been suspended because they tampered with the surveillance cameras. There is obviously someone who helped her get a body into the cell.
Yeah.
There's someone who helped him sneak out. There's someone who got them, I don't know, fake IDs and whatever,
Yeah.
and all the stuff, right? On top of this, right? Apparently, this guy was running a whole business from prison.
Yes, yes, I did see that. Some media business or something like that. Talent
Some
agency.
media business. Yeah, from prison. He had access to a laptop, he had access to internet. There's pictures of him joining. Apparently he used a fake name called Tom or Paul Motsepe or something like that, or Thomas Motsepe.
Yeah.
Obviously to say that he's related to
Patrice.
Patrice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he was making money, paying salaries.
Wild.
Dude, it's big. He'd say I'm based in the US
A new
and he
definition
was
of
employing
working
all these
remotely in
people.
jail.
Dude, that's powerful. And the craziest thing about this, right? There's even a clip of people wishing him happy birthday
No way.
via a call. Like he hosted a whole seminar got all these about influencers and all these people, got all these influencers and whoever big business people in Santon
I'm
into a
influencers. I'm
room,
a lame shit.
and then he joined remotely, and they were singing happy birthday. It was his birthday, so they were saying happy birthday to him.
Wow.
I'm like, dude, the arrogance, right? But after all this, Parliament is currently hosting an inquiry into the matter. So they're grilling the ministers, they're grilling the G4S staff, they're grilling all the prison officials, just to determine what actually happened, right? So it's going to be a very interesting, fascinating thing. I think Netflix or Showmax or HBO,
Yeah.
like this, it's made international news, right? Even CNN was reporting this stuff. It
Oh
was like
wow.
sensational. So it's whoever's gonna make like a documentary or a story about it is gonna kill. They're gonna make
Pun intended.
they're gonna make big money. Not like that. But yeah, man, that's the story in a nutshell.
Sure.
Yeah,
That's some
Guning.
Bonnie and
I didn't
Clyde shit,
even.
bro.
It is. I didn't even touch on some of the stuff. Right? There's apparently a car that they abandoned at the Zim border in Bay Bridge, and then he crossed into Zim. It's a lot of things. It's a lot of things. Apparently,
Yeah.
the father's also involved.
Whose father?
Her father, Dr. Nandipa's father.
Yeah.
Apparently, he may have assisted or may have been like the brains of the murder
Operation.
situation. Yeah, whatever it is, he might have been part of it.
So, question. So there's
Yeah.
I saw a voice note. I don't think if you saw it, if you've seen it yet. I saw it today on Twitter. Right.
Yeah.
Allegedly, this is Thabo Bester threatening Unandi. Don't turn off your phone. I must be able to reach you at all times. I've got people following you. Do you know who I am? Blah, 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 right? Can she? People think it's fake news, but anyway, if we operate on the assumption that it is an actual conversation between them, can she then say, "I was coerced into all of this. I only agreed based off of fear of my own life and what in team?"
Yeah, it can be a defense. It can be a defense. I don't think it's a solid one because I think a lot of these things involved, it's different when someone's pointing a gun to your head and saying, do this, right? But it becomes very different when, even if they're threatening you, you are going through such lens and at no point in time alerting officials to say, hey guys, this is what's happening, right? You're hiding him, you are aiding and abetting, you're sourcing dead bodies, you're killing people, like Guneng, right? There's just a lot that you're doing, all in the effort of trying to
But then do you fear for your life, right?
still it's
It's
like
not
so
enough.
the whole I don't think it's enough. I don't think it's enough, even if, let's say, those voice notes are authentic and genuine, right?
Yeah.
I think it's difficult because she went through such great lengths. Like there's a whole thing where she went and got a car, she went and dropped off a car. There's so much that she did,
Yeah.
and at no point in time did she stop and say, actually no. It's just a lot going on.
Okay.
I don't think it'll fly.
Fair enough, fair enough. I think, I mean, again, it's just deep. So like me, my hesitation of looking into this whole thing was just, it was just so much information from every angle, bro, and it's just, it was so sensational, and I was just like, you know what? I'm sure Senna would know this. Let me just ask him because it was trying to figure it out, and then if you, I don't know if you saw that episode of Podcast and Chill, where Uso was talking about the conversation they had with the dude from jail that they didn't air and shit like that. So like I dug out pieces of the
Yeah.
story from there. It was just hey.
I mean, there's definitely higher ranking officials involved in this,
Yeah,
from correctional
it
services
goes all the way to the
to the
top.
G4S guys. It goes all the way to the top. Because to pull off something like this,
Yeah,
skip countries, get out of prison, source dead bodies, it's a long chain. It's a long chain.
yeah, no, definitely, definitely. But anyway, I mean, again, we'll keep updating the situation if there is any notable updates with regards to the two of them. And yeah, hey, yeah, deep situation, Mr. Man, deep situation. Let me take a look here. Oh yeah, oh man, did you see this? So there was a video circulating about the Dalai Lama. Is it him? Right?
Oh, I saw it. Yeah, the Dalai Lama. Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw it.
So apparently he so there's the video I did see it. He's hugging a boy. He looked about 8-9 years old, right? Some shit like that. Just he's hugging him. I don't know. It looked. I was like, okay, I guess whatever. This man is old, right? I don't know how old he is, but he's super old. And then so then what ends up happening is at some point he sticks out his tongue. So first I think he like kisses the boy on his cheek or something, or tells the boy to kiss him on his cheek, and then he tells the boy so the Dalai Lama sticks out his tongue and says, "Chief, I need you to suck on my tongue." And I'm just like,
Yep.
bruh, it was long. It was long. I couldn't believe it.
That was weird.
It was very weird. It was very, very weird. I was, yeah. It was a very very disturbing video to be honest with you. But did you actually see it?
I saw it. Obviously, Twitter is the platform where all these things. You just be scrolling, and then your next thing you just see
Yeah.
you see the craziest stuff.
Yeah.
So I saw it. So I actually saw it before someone tweeted about it. So before like the outrage from like news, I was like, okay, that's weird. And then I just kept scrolling. And then obviously once it reached mainstream news and it caught steam, then it was like, it's weird, it's inappropriate. It's giving pedophilia vibes,
Yeah. Yeah.
unfortunately. And then the Dalai Lama came out and they were like, no, we apologize, it's a mistake. It's just a show of affection. What?
Yeah. So that's I mean apparently he's apologized.
Yeah.
And then oh yes, so and then someone else, I don't know where this individual is from. Let me look at their bio. African. Oh, I guess it's a South African dude. This dude says so he says there's a translation lost and cultural misunderstanding over tongue gate on the Dalai Lama in Tibet. Happiness and welcome greeting is culturally expressed with the tongue sticking out, or rather the use of it. It's not a sexual thing or like an expression. And then he goes on to post 4 pictures of people sticking their tongues out. And then he has a second tweet that says, while in other cultures the tongue may be a display of rudeness or sexual suggestion or intimacy, in Tibet, when you pass a stranger, they'll stick their tongue out for an example. This is a form of greeting. So in other parts of the world, people use their nose to nose touches or hugs. So someone responded to his tweet and said, is sucking the tongue also cultural? And this dude responded, and he says, yes, it's a hug to them. I'm like, cap. Like that's a bit much.
I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced.
Yeah.
Really?
I don't know, bro. I'd have to personally research this because wow.
I'm not sold. Unfortunately, I'm not sold.
Yeah.
But hey, maybe let me have a look at Google. Because I get out here in these streets in the world. Let me see. There is no sucking involved in Tibetan tradition of sticking out tongue in greeting.
Mtuani?
There is a tongue greeting, but there's no sucking involved in it.
Yeah.
So that's where I think it becomes a bit weird.
Yeah.
But anyways, we might touch on this. But someone mentioned, Uguti, this is what happens when you have people bound by vows of celibacy and no intimacy. They start doing crazy things.
What this lamba will be this? This was Angari, bruh.
bruh. I mean, we've
Oh
seen. So I
man.
mean, and you know, I'm Catholic, but I know Uguti. That's how you have Catholic priests acting out, and they start funding little boys because
Yeah.
you grow up in you're in an environment where you're expected to be celibate and pure and all these things, dude. That is, I don't think is realistic.
No,
And
it's
then you
not.
end up having to do weird things behind curtain.
Yeah, so it's definitely one of those things where again I think we'll touch on it with it. We're given a siyazama, so where some of these things will come into play. But yeah, I think when you have these, there's been scandals with double pope. Now there's a scandal with the Dalai Lama, and I'm sure others, right? Is scandals with pastors, right? When we're talking in Christianity, all these things, and I think specifically this one was really weird, right? Because again, there's cameras. It's not like you didn't know. It's not like this is a behind the curtain, hidden camera, gold mafia type thing, right? This was a you know as good as a press conference type of thing. Apparently, he pulled the boy from the crowd, right? And the guy came up on stage. So it's I think the most concerning thing for me is if that's how Men's is moving on camera, how are you moving off camera, my guy? Like, what are you asking for,
Yeah.
right? Because again, if we are right in saying, okay, yes, you stick out your tongue, yeah, that's culture for them, sharp. But then if people are saying no, but the sucking part, that's where he went off script. Then it's like, okay, people are not wrong to put two and two together and be like, this was some sort of sexual thing for him, right? Because what
Yeah.
what what else are you? And again, feel free to theorize. Like, what else could you be doing by telling a young boy to suck on your tongue? Like, I don't see
Mm.
it. I don't see anything else. Again, we don't know the culture, so maybe whatever. Yeah, I'm sure we have historians among us who like googling shit. Add us and give us the information. But as far as what I have and what I know, the little that I know, this is hella suspicious, man. This is sus as hell. And I
This is an article that I found. So, sticking out your tongue is traditionally a sign of respect or agreement and has also been used as a greeting in Tibetan culture, according to the Institute of East Asian Studies. Perhaps the most famous Western cultural reference to this tradition comes in the film 7 Years in Tibet, starring Brad Pitt, where Pitt's character encounters a group of children who stick out their tongue at him, but no further explanation is provided. According to Tibetan folklore, people in the Buddhist culture began sticking out their tongue to disassociate themselves from the 9th century king Lang Dharma, who was infamous for his cruelty and was said to have had a black tongue. As Buddhists believe in reincarnation after death, the tradition is said to have emerged as a way of people to show they were not the king reincarnated and therefore not to be associated with his evil deed. So, what does the video show? The video that has been seen widely circulating on social media shows the Dalai Lama kissing a young boy on his lips after he came forward to pay his respects. The Dalai Lama statements claims the boy voluntarily stepped forward during a public question and answer session where he had asked if he could hug the spiritual leader. After holding the boy's chin, blah blah blah. We also saw the video. He sticks out his tongue, all the stuff, all the stuff. They go on to say this is not playful banter and it's very inappropriate to use affectionately planting a kiss alongside suck my tongue. Hogs are fine, but not this. Don't normalize the molestation of kids. Don't care how revered the Dalai Lama is. There is a difference between kissing someone and asking a minor to suck your tongue. So this, I guess, is a statement from like the child rights activists as well as the East Asian East Asian Studies Institute, whatever it's called. So I don't think it's actually a thing. But I think after the fact, he then had to like justify it and say, okay, this is what it is.
Yeah, I know. It's a bit of a tricky situation, this one. And I mean, and again, like you said, I don't think there is any excuse, right? And it shouldn't be tolerated. But at this point, it's like, what do you you can't cancel, the Dalai Lama, right? I don't know who is, the body or the individual that can look at that and be like, Chief, that was offside. Are you? I don't even know. Does it work? Do you move him from his post? Is there like any sanctions? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, or is it just kind of like, oh, my bad, and then he moves on? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I really don't know how
They
such a
they
situation
would.
moves.
I think at the moment it appears that the outrage is for everyone who's outside that space and community and nation. I do think if it was a situation where the Tibet people themselves or the people that he I'm not sure if it's governs or he represents were the ones who are upset, then that's a different story.
Yeah, yeah.
At the moment, I think it's kind of like the rest of the world. The rest of the world are the ones who are like more pissed off than thing
I
that
guess.
are more pissed off than the Tibet people themselves.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess you could liken it to, like, for example, right? The Middle East catches a bad reputation, especially those rich nations in the Middle East, for human rights violations, right? In terms of the Indian workers that they bring across for, massive building projects and stuff like that, right? Qatar had it with the building of the stadiums and how, X many thousands of guys died with no compensation, and it was just horrible, living conditions and stuff like that. In Qatar, there was no real, like, expats, locals. They're not really. That's not the hot topic, right? You're not gonna hear that on radio driving to work. So try, yeah, 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 rights for these others and stuff like that. Everybody's moving,
Mm-hmm.
as they would normally move in the country, and then everybody else on the outside, especially the West, is like, hey, look at Qatar, human rights violations, and stuff. And they're right to point it out, right? Even though, my only issue with the West is that they were doing it for their own selfish reasons. They didn't give a fuck about the actual people dying, right? They had their own motivations in terms of pointing that out. However,
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, it's still right. Yeah, the violations are still violations. But in that respect, do you think it's a fair comparison? Kind of with, yeah, you're saying with, yes, the people in Tibet, no one is doing in the streets. However, even though the West is making noise, they do have a point, though. It's like, at the end of the day, you did tell a youth to, like, suck on your tongue. Like, we can't get away from that. That's a fact.
Yeah, that's the way it is. That's just the way it is, and it's not gonna work. I don't think I'm of the view. I must say that it I think it's inappropriate across the board. And as much as sticking your tongue out to scene in a particular way, I don't think I've ever heard of sucking someone's tongue as,
I feel like we've said the word
you know.
suck a lot on the pod today.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh no, no, no. I can't see it. I
Yeah, I
can't
know.
see it.
This one. Red card, this one. I'm sorry. Red card offense. But okay, as we wrap things up, I guess we can just move straight into Siazam. I'm not seeing anything else that we needed to cover. Where's the post? Okay, so there was a tweet that was posted by an
Yep.
individual that said, "My fiance and I are abstaining from sex until we get married. It was my decision. Why? I need to be able to see clearly. I cannot afford to marry a woman based off of good sex. The woman I marry needs to also have a good mind, a good heart,
Yep.
and a good spirit."
Yeah.
Full stop. Thoughts, Mr. Moon?
That's some BS, personally. And I know we've had like a back and forth about this with some other gents during the week, but I am of the view that that's not a that's no, it's a no, it's a no from me, for several reasons. The first being, um my first thought, right, is Uguti personal clarity is a very important thing.
PNC.
I think that's actually the opposite of what he's trying to achieve. So he thinks Uguti, without doing the things, he will see and think more clearly. I actually think when you've got that level of you know I don't know how to describe it, Mr. Maps, pent up energy in a sexual way, I don't think you think clearly sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's what can make you commit to certain things you shouldn't. That's how you end up spending money on people you shouldn't spend money on,
Yeah.
because you're just like, no. And then post nut, like, if you ever have, okay, this is something for the girls. As a guy, right? That moment afterwards is very important, especially the next day, right?
Tells you a
If
lot.
he's thinking now, yeah, if post nut and then he doesn't care about you, he doesn't want you around, it means that he's now realized what he actually, no, man, I can't.
Yeah.
This one, it's not a thing.
That's not the one.
But if after post nut, he's still like, yeah, I like having you around, stick around, let's do this, I want to chill with you, all these things, that probably to me is someone who is now thinking clearly and still wants to do stuff with you and sees you in a more serious way. I do think, if let me put it that way, I do think if you abstain from the things leading up to, or maybe with anyone, right, what can happen is you might just end up committing just for the sake of doing the things. Like, you'll commit with a lot of sexual energy, which might skew your thinking. That's my sort of 2 cents about it. I don't think you think clearly when you abstain versus when you don't.
I think it's always important, any purchase, you must always have hands-on time, before you purchase anything. You buy a new phone, and I was thinking of buying my Galaxy Fold. I went to the store, I played with it, opened it up, and saw the response, the functionality, watched some reviews. I did the research. You do the research in every facet, right? And I think
Yeah.
there is a bit of lost logic to say I'm going to.
Yes.
So what did he mention? He mentioned heart, mind, and spirit, right? Which are
Something
huge,
like that. Yeah.
right? And those are very, very important. I'm with him 100%. But then also that other
Yeah.
component as well is important, because
Yeah.
we know in relationships that people fall to those temptations for one reason or another. And if you get there and then you find the paps are on -1, like that's not something that you're gonna be like, yeah, but she still has a beautiful heart. You will outsource those things, bro. And again,
Exactly.
that's typically what's gonna happen. You're going to outsource these things, and it's gonna be a case of like, you get into a situation and you find out you find that the locusin, and in his tweet, he didn't specify Uguti, what's this thing called, the hand that he's with is necessarily a virgin at the same time, right? So if she is
Yeah.
not, so she's been out there, she's done what she's done, okay, cool, she knows what good sex is, bad sex is, medium sex, mediocre, whatever it is, right? And then y'all are like, okay, fine, let's be celibate. And then you fall on the lower end of the scale once you guys get married or whatever. Like, that's gonna factor in at the end of the day. There's gonna be frustrations where it's like, if when they lie at you, you get married. You pay. When a dude's getting lied and a woman's getting lied, for example, right? There is that sex conversation to be like, yo, you have to put
For
it
those who don't
down.
understand Nguni languages, what's a good lie, Mr. Maps?
Oh, Ugulaya is like, it's sort of like, it's advice, right? It's advice from your elders, essentially, like
Yeah.
instructions, rather. Wuti, when you're now getting married, this is how you must treat your husband. I think in Shona, I don't know, what do they call it in Shona? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, whatever. But yeah, it's instructions essentially where the elders sit you down. They're like, right, so now you're joining us in the ranks of married people. This is what you need to know, right? And then typically, well, this is fucked up, but typically what they'll be telling our women is like, listen, whenever Senna's hungry, you gotta feed him. This tweet is not about food. Senna has to eat. Senna has to eat, or else if Senna doesn't eat, Senna's he's gonna get takeaways, and you don't want Senna getting takeaways, right? So that's essentially the spirit of these things, where it's like, okay, in as much as it's I'd say spoken poorly, right, and the wrong standards are set for a woman, whereas for a man is, what we can talk about the issues there on another day. I still think the spirit of it makes sense, right? You want to have a healthy sexual relationship with your partner as well. I think tweets like this, they kind of, it's a bit misleading in the sense that you're saying, to know that aspect of a relationship doesn't matter. Where when you get counseling, they literally say, yo, this shit matters. It's a big deal. And I'm sorry, having a good heart and a good spirit does not lead to great sex. It's not going to work like that. And again, shout out to you if you're a person that, we have people that are 40, 60 plus who listen to the podcast. And if you're that individual that like, hey, I found my person and it's been me and her ever since, then I think it's important for both of you, for you guys, if you want to do it that way, honestly speaking, I believe you have to both be virgins. You have to. Honestly speaking, I think you both have to be, because
there's no other way.
Yeah. At least if you're both coming into it for the first time, we don't know any better, right? So if me and you are doing the pod together, right, and we think the pod slaps, me and you, we've got top-notch chemistry. If I go in and now start a podcast with Hanan and that other shit is now like slapping, it's like, oh man, so me and Senna really wasn't at that level. Or I go and I do a podcast with Hanani and it's like, yo, bro, this is a drag. Then it's like, ish, I miss Senna. Which, those are two terrible situations at the end of the day, right? Whereas if it's me and you and that's all me and you do, then it's like, hey, we are happy because this is the only reality we've ever known. But if I pull Senna as a podcast host, this is his fourth podcast that he's doing, all of a sudden, Senna, let's record. Chief, me, I'm busy. I said, okay, you free this week? I'm doing this other pod. No, you didn't get it. You know what I mean? Like these things start to happen, right? So that's why I'm like, with this tweet, it's well intentioned, but also side note, bro. Do you know some of the most dangerous niggas that I know? They're the ones who the church owns. Like when female friends tell me, no, I'm looking for a man in church. I'm like, hey. It's a dangerous game, that one, because it's like some of the dudes that I know who finesse the hardest, bro, like uns who are savages, strong at church every week. I love you, bro. Within the church choir, all this other shit, we brothers, bunny, and I'm just like, these days are getting hit 10 right? And I'm just like, it's always these dudes are super. I'm always suspicious. I told you, I'm suspicious. Any nigga that's out here calling dudes brother, hey brother, how you doing? I'm like, I'm suspicious. Don't mean that I think you're a messed up dude or whatever. But immediately my antennas go up. I'm like, we don't typically go around and say, hey brother. Like again, people of our generation, right? Different generations, this doesn't apply. But for us, right, there's not that many people that are going around and say, hey brother, this is this. So I'm like, is this really you, or are you being fictitious? So that's category number one. Category number two, these niggas that are overly spiritual. Like it's like there's I know people that are super spiritual, and it's like you can see, this is in his own element, right? Cool, those dudes are fine. The niggas that go out of their way to show you that they're spiritual, those are the ones where I'm like, Kono Chairman's like, this nigga is problematic. Those are the ones who typically, and they'll finesse the fuck out of these hands because they're smooth tongued, man. Bro, like these ones are slick. Shine, I'm a Bible verses. Oh, baby, let's go to Bible study. Let's do this. Let's do that.
Let's do this. Let's do that.
Marinating the teams, bro. Marinating them hard. And I'm just like, yo.
Sevens are rigged.
You know where the danger is? Like that, literally, that's where the danger is, bro. Church ends. Why do you think STAs have such a bad reputation? We have a really bad reputation because we know the Bible
Yeah,
in
because
and
y'all
out.
be moving
We
mad.
are drilled
Y'all be moving mad.
from birth, my guy. We are drilled from birth. We know the stories. We would have these, if you're if SDAs know this. If you were growing up, I forgot. There's a kindergarten for SDA babies. I forget what it's called. Is it the Busy Bees? I think it's called the Busy Bees. I can't remember. Then after that, there's the Adventurers. Then from
Yeah.
Adventurers, you have the Pathfinders, essentially Boy Scouts, right? Long story short, it's Boy Scouts, right? Or Girl Scouts. So we did all this, there's just all this random knowledge, that we have because we went through this indoctrination. So, like, don't play around with SDAs, bro. Tina, we are seasoned vets at this thing. If you
Yeah.
talk to any of these SDA dudes, like anyone who grew up in an SDA church, they will tell you, fam, like it was stages. There was no age where you were just after Pathfinders, I think you're a master guide. Like really it's just a system, supply chain, bruh. And I think that's where some of the bad rep with us comes from because we just if it's like right, if you want to have a Bible off with somebody, SDLs have verses for days. One
Yeah.
of my boys, what was it? Uland. Landy even plays the piano, bro. Like,
Really?
yeah, he does. He plays the piano, fam. He's
Okay.
and he can play some hymns there. And you see things Landy. Hey, I apologize. I love you, my guy. He's my guy. I love him to death, right? But like, this will put his camera up, go to the piano, and then start just playing a hymn. And because he's got Landy's a dark skinned dude, right? But he moves like a light skinned nigga. So he's got all the light skinned nigga poses. So anyone who knows, if you just go on his Insta, the pictures, like you just tell this is light skinned nigga energy. So now you can imagine this good looking dude. He's got his phone recording. He's playing a hymn on the piano. He's like, God, I think the caption was my favorite hymn. And he's out there, eyes closed, borrow frown and everything, just like the busy ding 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 on the piano. Follow me. And I'm just like, bruh, and he put that on the gram. I'm like, Landy, you don't fool me, nigga. I know what you're doing. You were not there thinking about Jesus.
I'm familiar with your game.
I'm familiar with your game, my nigga. I know a net when I see it. I know a nigga when he's fishing. And I'm like, I've seen that video, I think, 3 times over the last couple of months, and 4 times. And on all those occasions, it's not Landy who's reposted it. It's another hunt. This nigga.
Oh, okay.
Listen,
Okay.
fam. This is that's my guy. That's my fighter. Like I respect that shit. You know what I mean? The ladies. So anyway, all this to say. Nah, man, that's my guy, man. I'm telling you, that's my day one. But yeah, again, SDAs, we have PhDs in this shit. Please. This is
You've been doing it.
Been doing it, right? We finesse earns.
No, it's funny. It's fascinating. I have a general policy as well. It is do not make a decision when you're hungry.
Yeah.
And that
I always
saves me a lot
order
of
too
money,
much
to be
because of
honest.
that.
Yeah, so I always ask myself, okay, cool. I'm hungry, right? And I'm not at home. Can I wait till I get home? Like literally, the definition of there's rice at home when I'm by myself and I'm hungry and I'm outside. If you always remind yourself, no, I've got rice at home, I've got eggs at home, I've got bread at home, you can save yourself a lot of regret. Because what happens if you go and then you buy Steers, McDonald's, whatever it is, you eat it. There's that saying, "Sweetie, now I regret it." Like, should have just gone home and gotten like normal food. Because I think once you go into that mode, what you might call it, once you go into that mode, I'm going to just eat when I'm hungry.
Yeah.
You're going to lead to a lot of wasteful expenditure, bad decisions. Don't make
Again,
a decision when
these
you're
bars
hungry.
are not about food, ladies and gentlemen. This is
They're
wisdom.
not about food. Do not make a decision when you're hungry, because ultimately you're gonna make a decision you'll regret,
It'll
right?
be a
You're just
poor
gonna be like,
decision, fam. By the time you're done
I'm gonna
eating,
bought that McD.
oh, Susuti, there's like, this was a waste of calories.
this was a waste of this was
Waste
a
of
waste of my
calories.
money. It was a waste of calories. It was a waste of anything.
Now you've Ubered the teams to your house. The teams are now looking at you. Like, now what must happen? Yeah, well, you must always, guys, always don't make these decisions. I think I think that's the lesson of the day. It's a very important lesson, Mr. Moy, that people need to know because these type of things. This is how Owen started, as someone else said in the group, recruiting grenades, right? Because
Yeah.
Owen's and Gary, bruh. And
Owns and guys.
these things happen. These things happen. So anyway,
Although there's someone who made an argument, Uguti, sometimes fire food, we'll say food in this
soul
instance,
food.
soul food, can skew your thinking just as much as not eating at all. So this person was saying, Guti, if you actually meet someone and then they give you fire good, you might just be skewed into a bad decision because of fire good.
Which is fair. Which is fair. I think definitely. Yeah, I can see a lot of occasions where you may be confused. I can say by some soul food. Like if you get it and it's right at a perfect temperature and it's touching your soul, I mean, but typically, you know what? In those type of instances, dudes that'll be like those my deep dark secrets type of thing. Those who have that parked on the dice on the side there, like in case of emergency, please break glass. That's what I've typically seen. I don't know anyone who's been fully on a soul food diet and publicly claimed that they're on a soul food diet. It's more so, you know,
Eating in secret.
badla ngani ngamasela. That's typically
Badla betshontsha.
yeah, badla betshontsha. That's typically what we see. But hey, anyway, guys, moral of the story, make these decisions fully knowing the situation. Don't go in there on some timber type of vibe and hope things will work out, because that's very poor planning at the end of the day, and you'll get yourself into some sticky situations, and
Exactly.
a lot of this can be avoided with the correct due diligence.
Exactly.
God dang it. But anyway, Mr. Moore.
But people must let us know their thoughts. Do you prefer to fast or do you prefer to
Hey, Ramadan. So, maybe some of y'all really do believe in fasting. It will help you internalize, right? Internalize moral perspective can come through fasting for some people. And, for others, nah, fam, I can't think straight when I'm hungry.
clarity comes from eating?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Me,
I'm one of those who needs to eat
Yeah.
to think straight.
Yeah. Once I'm full, I'm like, right, now we can focus. We can do this. But this is a Lechiage. We're 12 minutes over time. But yeah, apologies for the pod coming out late. It's one of those weeks. Next week is Eid, so don't say Uti Agili Wonanga. I'm just putting it out there, people putting it out there for the people them. So cross your fingers and let's see what happens for next week. But for now, we hope you enjoy the pod. Let us know, add us, tweet us, email us. It's all there. It's all available.
Yeah, boy.
Shout out to the Lakers. We're in the postseason. Umnandi Lapana. But we Chelsea. Yeah, it's peak there. So I'm going through it, guys. Like half of me is going through it. The other half of me is not. It's stressed. So I got Gamu some Chelsea apparel, and I was just like, no, we need to toss that. I've got some Lakers apparel now, so at least he can wear that with pride until I think next season. Next season, I think he can wear the jersey with pride, the Chelsea jersey. Owaga jersey. Hi, it's pathetic. Gunzi.
Do you think you have a chance against Madrid at Stamford Bridge?
To be honest, if the boys were playing with heart, you know what? Like the Liverpool-Arsenal game, that was just Liverpool playing with heart. That's all that was. Liverpool just they were like, fuck it, you guys are not going to do this to us. And I don't see any of that life with Chelsea. I don't see it at all. And that's the thing that concerns me the most. it's just a lifeless. It's like United last year with Ragnick. It just niggas didn't care. They just didn't care.
Yeah, they just wanted to get to the end of the season.
Yeah.
They were just like, look, let's just get to the summer. Let's start again.
Exactly.
Because it happens.
Exactly.
Like when I think you guys you're 11th at the moment, so you don't want the Champions League.
Yeah.
You can't get to the Champions League, but at the same time, you don't want to finish in those conference positions.
Exactly.
You're out of the cup, so it's like, let's just get to the end and start again.
Yeah, I think they just want to tread water for now, and they're just there's no. But I think again in a squad that big, Kuimi, the guys who are not showing any heart. If I'm frank, I'd sit all of them. I don't care how important they are. I'd sit all of them. I have a squad of 30 earns, and the Maduekes, all those other dudes who are gonna fight for the badge. Like guys, let's play. Let's see what happens. Everybody else, if they're not interested in playing, if they're not showing any heart, it's okay. Let them sit on the bench and they can figure their lives out in the summer. But I just want to see a team that's going to play for the badge, for the fans. That's all that I want to see. Winning or losing, I honestly don't care. I just want to see dudes put in effort and a hunger, crunching tackles, like hustling. In as much as we dislike O'Connor Gallagher, at least the guy runs around it. It's like he cares. You know what I mean? I still believe his best position is on the bench. However, at the very least, he's running around like a headless chicken. He's out of position a lot of the time. He doesn't put together a pass, but at least effort. Abanye Labo. It was. Don't even get me started, fam. But anyway, point was, shout out to the Lakers gang, Lake Show. We bleed that purple and gold. We're in the playoffs. Game 1 Sunday. That's all I'm interested in at this point. Football can miss me for now. It is what it is. Good luck to us at Brighton.
It is what it is.
And then Aeon's also buys it. Sevilla Island. It just doesn't do.
No, last time was Villarreal, but I think but
you got waxed by Sevilla. Like I think at least the last 2 years running, right? Either in the
other year,
it was in the final, and I think even maybe semi-final.
No, that was Villarreal.
Was that Villarreal?
That was Villarreal. Yeah, it was Villarreal.
No,
they're the ones who beat
Sevilla was the one.
final.
Good Evening was coaching, right?
That was Villarreal.
Oh,
when Emery beat us in the final.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was Sevilla.
Yeah, it was Villarreal, the yellow guys.
Okay.
No, it was Villarreal.
Okay.
But in any event, yesterday's performance, self-destruction. We had injuries. Varane's gone. Martinez is out. And then we have Maguire comes in. And he scores an own goal. Him and Malacia. But anyways, to be honest, these guys better turn up when they get to Spain.
Yeah. It was a home game.
Yeah, that was at home. Dude, they were leading 2-0. So they have a week to prepare. Some guys are playing for their career at United because I think after the season there'll be a fire sale.
Yeah.
And if you don't step up, you're out, to be honest.
And Roma also lost to Feyenoord. I was shocked by that. I don't know what Mourinho is doing over there. He needs to be a bit more serious. But I think they lost the first leg.
But we'll see the second leg.
Their quarterfinal. Are you guys in the quarterfinals?
Came back.
What stage were you just in Europa? It is.
These are the quarters, yeah.
So I think it was like the round of 16 or whatever, or knockout stages for Europa.
Okay.
They lost the first leg and then they won, I think 2-1 in the second leg. So I think Mourinho can have a bounce back performance. They were away from home. Roma's having a pretty good season in Serie A. I think they're like fifth or fourth or third, somewhere there. But those teams are all stacked on top of each other.
They're up there.
Like Napoli is like 20 points ahead, and these guys are all separated. The rest are separated by like 1 point. So again, Roma's had a pretty solid season. I hope that they win Europa against United. That would be my dream scenario. That would just be so poetic for Jose. But anyway, that's the football chat.
But anyways, no, that's good, Mr. Maps. That's it from me.
Yeah, all good. It's been a good one. Enjoy the weekend, and we will touch base again soon. And guys, as you know, like the thing, retweet the thing, subscribe to the thing, and if you don't, we are inclined to believe you is a hater. Mr. Moore.
Laters.